back like the seats of an 86 Delta 88 coupe on D's and Bones, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Going live in a minute, Blizzard King. This is Winter Dinner Spurling podcast. You are rocking with the realest black men represented. Ain't no lies, cause we winning. Catching flies, ain't no feelings. Uncle D, we the villain, baby. We just left the village, baby. Now we in them villas, baby. Dinner Spurling podcast, tuning in, we get it, baby. You can hate the player, hate the game. We love all you haters. Hate watch, hate watch. Calling lovely ladies, hands on your knees, bitch, please. You can thank us later. We snatching the crowns off of queens, we obliterate them. Tell the truth, shame the devil, they trying to eliminate us. You begging the sipping haters, peeling layers off potatoes. Whoa, Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Tennis Spurling podcast. Whoa, Southern Cadillac music like Outkast. Ain't jumping without bass. Tennis Spurling podcast. Whoa.
We have to clean up what's going on in our house before we do anything else. What's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast, man. We got a hot one today. We're going to go ahead and just get straight into it. So the title of this broadcast is Barack Obama's soon-to-be broken tool of white supremacy. And this is related to his recent video filmed by ABC. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I will play some of it just to recap and just for posterity. This is the video where he took it upon himself to basically tell black men that they were stupid and sexist if they didn't vote.
I'm going to go ahead and just say, speak some truths if you don't mind.
You guys have heard this video. If you haven't, this is the video I'm referring to. Now, after some careful analysis, I've made some determinations. And I want to share those with you guys because I think that it's important to be able to learn from it. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, my name is Dennis Spurling. I'd like to welcome you all to the broadcast. I'm also an attorney. I'm a lawyer. I'm a father. More importantly, I am a black man here in the United States, and I'm very concerned with the state of black men, specifically black men and boys, and black America in general. I tell you guys all the time, there is no black community without strong, dominant, masculine black men who are willing to jump in there and take charge. Now, as you guys know, this is an election season, and a big shout out to everybody in the chat room. Y'all hit the #1 button. At some point, I'm going to say subscribers only. The super chats are available, the cash apps are available, but let's go ahead and get down to business. So, Barack Obama was once seen as a beacon of hope and progress in this, but he may soon become yet another tool broken by the system of white supremacy. Justice Dr. John Henrik Clarke warned. Dr. Clarke was a revered African-American historian and Pan-Africanist, and often spoke about how white supremacy elevates individuals, particularly black leaders, only to discard them once they've served their purpose. This cycle of exploitation and abandonment is at the core, is a core tactic of oppressive systems. Throughout his presidency, Obama was lauded as a symbol of progress and racial unity, but his legacy reveals a deeper, more troubling reality. His recent attempts to manipulate and divide the black community by pitting black men and black women against each other using outdated matriarchal dynamics show that he may be nearing the point where he has outlived his usefulness to this system. Once heralded as the face of change, Obama's divisive tactics and tone-deaf approach are increasingly alienating the very people, us, somebody type us in the chat room, he claims to represent. Dr. Clarke's analysis rings truer than ever today. Okay, white supremacy has always been adept at using black leaders, black people with skills. They'll take them, they'll put them up in positions of power, whether it's an entertainer, actor, sports figure, whatever. They'll put them in front of us to pacify and control the black community. And when those leaders no longer serve the system's interests, they are swiftly discarded. Shout out to my man DeLon Simpson. Thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. You the first one up to bat. Thank you so much, fam. Here's the thing: Obama's legacy may, and this is what I'm predicting. I'm predicting, or this is really a telltale sign. His legacy is going to soon face this fate, becoming yet another reminder of how easily figures of hope can be broken once their usefulness is exhausted. As Black Americans, we must remain vigilant and aware of these cycles. See, Obama's willingness to employ the divide and conquer tactics, playing into the very systems of oppression he once claimed to fight. Remember when he was a community activist, right? That's back when he was fighting the system, and then he became the system. What that does is, to me, it highlights how easily Black leaders can become tools of the same forces they initially opposed. Dr. Clarke's warning about white supremacy breaking its tools after exploiting them should serve as a cautionary tale for all of us. Obama, too, may soon find himself discarded by the very system that he once propped up. Somebody type Negro wake-up call in the chat room, okay? Somebody type Negro wake-up call in the chat room. And see, the thing is, it's time for us to recognize these manipulative tactics for what they are and protect our community from being further divided. See, white supremacy will always use and discard those who no longer serve their purpose. And we need to ensure that we don't let it exploit us any longer. So here's the thing. And I want to talk a little bit more about Barack Obama, but I also want to tune y'all into what the brothers are saying, because everybody is saying these are Russian bots. Somebody said Russian bots, right? Somebody type Russian bots. They're saying that these Black people, there's really no pushback. But I want you to learn something. And what I'm going to do is I want to discuss something from one of our greatest minds in more detail, because there are a lot of people on the internet that learn these things from the internet. I actually studied this stuff back when I was young in the 1980s, when Dr. John Henrik Clarke was still out there talking up in New York. He taught at City College in New York City. I actually been to that college. But anyway, Dr. Clarke, as I said, he was a renowned foundational Black American historian. He was a Pan-Africanist. And he spoke about the dynamics of white supremacy and its impacts on Black people and other marginalized communities. And one of his well-known assertions was about white supremacy breaking its tools. Somebody type breaking tools in the chat room, okay? And when they are no longer useful, this idea highlights how oppressive systems exploit certain folk or groups until they no longer serve the system's needs, and after which they're discarded, okay? While there isn't a specific widely cited date when Dr. Clarke made that exact statement, white supremacy always breaks its tools, the sentiment can be found in his lectures and writings throughout the 1980s and 1990s, especially his critiques of African-American leaders and how they were often manipulated by the dominant society. Dr. Clarke emphasized this in context of historical figures and movements that were initially supported by larger powers, but were later abandoned or undermined once they outlived their usefulness. So you can find similar discussions in his lectures, such as, write this down, the role of religion in African history, okay, and A Great and Mighty Walk, where he explains the cyclical nature of exploitation and abandonment by the hegemonic powers. In this phrase, white supremacy always breaks its tools, it's a concept attributed to Dr. John Henrik Clarke, reflecting his analysis of how this oppressive system, such as white supremacy, exploited individuals or groups until they're no longer useful, and at which point they're discarded. Now, while there isn't, as I said, there's no specific, well-documented instance where Clarke expressly uses this phrasing. He regularly explores similar ideas in his teachings and writings about exploitation and control in this racist system. See, Dr. Clarke frequently emphasized that folks and movements that were initially uplifted by white supremacist structures, whether it's the entertainment industry, the sports industry, whatever it is, the political mechanisms and machines, they often found themselves abandoned once they were no longer necessary. And this can be seen in many of his lectures, such as those exploring the history of Black leaders, African civilizations, and his broader critique on systematic racism. And so for more context on Dr. Clarke's thoughts about white supremacy and its manipulative tendencies, again, I'm going to refer you to his lectures and interviews, such as those found in The Great and Mighty Walk, and also on various speeches about African history. Now, here's the thing. I want to break this down even further. And I talk about this in my books, Rules to Live By. Our true power as Black people lies in our community. Okay? Our strength, our unity, and our shared history. Somebody type FBA in the chat room. Okay? Now, the good brother Dr. Clarke was a Pan-Africanist, and I love my people. I love both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. I love my brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, everywhere. But as long as we're going to play the game, let's play the game. Y'all want to whip y'all flags out, I'm going to whip my flag out. I believe that we are all one big Negro to the power structure. Nevertheless, for the purposes of this conversation, we're going to talk about foundational Black Americans, because that's why I stand, that's my side. Again, I got much love for all y'all, but as long as y'all whipping y'all flags out, I'm going to whip my flag out. When y'all stop whipping y'all flags out, I'm going to stop whipping my flag out. But here we go. Flags up. Foundational Black American. Our true power as Black people lies in our community. It lies in our strength and our unity, okay? And again, as I said, it's our shared history, because that's what brings us together. Now, what gives any leader or entertainer or athlete or politician their platform? That's what it is, okay? If you're out here making moves and your people are behind you, that's where your influence comes from. But the moment you lose sight of that, the moment you allow yourself to become a tool of the white power structure, you're setting yourself up to be discarded. See, we see you. We might not say anything, but we see what you're doing. Somebody type, I see you in the chat room. Somebody type, we see what you're doing in the chat room. Okay? We see you. See, the dominant society knows how to use us. They elevate certain Black figures who have a certain level of pizzazz or attractiveness. They have that Jesus quality, right? Whether it's a celebrity or an athlete or a politician, because these people serve a purpose. They're used to keep the rest of us complacent, distracted from what's really going on, and promoting messages that align with those in power. It's a game, okay? And they're being, and these Black folks think they're coming up, they think they're playing, but they're really getting played, and they'll play the game for years. But the moment these Black folks, these Black leaders, these Black figures lose touch with the community, when they stop influencing our people, their own people, they're no longer valuable to the system, and they get broken and tossed aside because they're no longer able to serve the agenda that they once pushed. Why does this happen? Somebody type why in the chat room. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing always said, why? When she was speaking to Neely Fuller, when she was alive, she would say she would always ask those questions, why? And it's because many of these folks sell out. They comp and they look, and I want each and every one of y'all to listen. Some of y'all lined up to sell out. Some of y'all can't wait to sell out. It's hard to stay down. Okay, it's hard to stay down in this world full of luxuries and material wealth. You see somebody else got it. It's hard to stay down, but you got to, because it's not worth it. You see what I'm saying? It's not worth it. I just want y'all to understand that it's not worth it, because what they giveth, they take it away. Now, is when you compromise your principles for money and fame or validation from people who never really cared about you in the first place, right? That shows who you are, and your people see who you are. And you stop focusing on uplifting and representing your community, our community, and you start chasing the bag. You start chasing status and wealth, and within the system, you want to be validated. You see, but when that happens, the Black community begins to see right through you. See, those their influence, those leaders' influence fades because they lost the connection with the people. And once that happens, once the community no longer supports you, then the white power system, the dominant society, has no more use for you. And see, the power is gone because they forgot where they came from in the first place. That's the ultimate betrayal. And these folks who are once symbols of hope and success within the Black community lose their power. And when they forget their roots, they become tools of white supremacy. And once they're no longer useful, the system spits them out without a second thought. So let me say this clearly. And shout out to my man, Big Knox. Uncle D be predicting the future. Nah, man, I know this system, man. I know the rhythm and the rhyme of how this thing works. You see? So let me say this clearly. Our true power lies in staying connected to our community. It's about staying authentic and resisting the temptation to sell out for personal gain. If you're a Black leader, don't let yourself become a pawn in someone else's game. Stay grounded in your people, because once you lose that connection, you've lost everything. Somebody type 10 toes down in the chat room. And I'm not one of these blackety blacks. I'm not one of these pro blackety blacks. That ain't what I'm doing. I'm just telling you it's intelligent for you to stay down with your people. Now, here's the thing I want you to understand. Barack Obama has been used as a tool of white supremacy. All right? Let's talk about what we know to be true. And this is something you may not have fully processed. Barack Obama, the man, was once celebrated as a symbol of progress and hope for Black Americans. Some of y'all stood up and cried when he was up there getting sworn in with his little hand on his heart. Right? You guys remember that? Y'all stood up there and cried, didn't you? Okay? I know you did, because I did too. I was teary-eyed too back in 2008. Now, before you overreact, understand that it's not just an opinion that I'm giving you, okay? It's on how the power structure works, how systems exploit Black leaders, and how they discard them when they're no longer useful. And Barack Obama, for all his achievements, is a clear example of that. Millionaire, Harvard graduate. So what? See, when Barack first burst on the political scene, he was seen as the embodiment of racial progress. He was polished, educated, charismatic. Hell, he was half Black. He had just enough Negro to get in the eyesight, but not so much to offend some of the easily offended white folks. And that's important to understand, because he had just enough, he had that just enough Blackness was there to appeal to the Black voters, but not enough to make white America uncomfortable. He wasn't a descendant of slaves. He was not foundational Black American. He didn't carry the weight of America's foundational sins on his back. And the white power structure loved that. And he became the perfect tool, someone who could be used to show the world that America was a post-racial society, even though we all knew that wasn't the case. His presence was a symbolic victory for Black people, but beneath the surface, it was business as usual. Wall Street thrived, the military-industrial complex expanded, and the wealth gap between Black and white families grew wider under Barack Obama. In other words, while Obama was in office, white supremacy was still alive and well, and it just had a new face to hide behind. Now let's talk about some specifics and how he was used. The foreclosure crisis. During the 2008 financial crisis, millions of Americans lost their homes due to predatory lending practices, and Black Americans were hit the hardest. When Obama came into office, many Black families thought help was on the way. But what happened? Wall Street got bailed out, while Black families were left to fend for themselves. His administration offered token gestures to homeowners, but the real focus was saving the banks, and the same banks that had devastated Black communities through their subprime mortgages. So who benefited? The white power structure. While Black wealth took a hit, Obama was used to pacify the outrage from Black Americans while maintaining the system that caused the problem in the first place. So that's the first one. What's the next thing he didn't do? He failed to address police violence. Remember the deaths of Trayvon Martin? Eric Garner, Michael Brown. Remember how they ignited the move Black Lives Matter movement? Y'all remember that? And whether you agree with the leadership in the actual organization called Black Lives Matter in itself is actually a meaningful statement. It's I'm black and I'm proud. I'm cool with that. You see what I'm saying? Just not cool with the BLM leadership under the corporate umbrella that they have. Nevertheless, under Obama's administration, we saw a spike in awareness around police brutality, but where was the action? Obama gave speeches. He emphasized how he spoke about a teachable moment. Somebody type teachable moments in the chat room. We got brothers out here getting shot, and he talked about teachable moments. Somebody type teachable moments in the back chat room. But where was the substance? Where was the policy changes? That never materialized. See, his response to police violence was mostly limited to rhetoric, not the sweeping reforms that were desperately needed. The system continued to protect the very institution that perpetuated violence against Black people. And Obama's role? To make it look like something was being done when in reality, nothing changed. Now, the other thing is, under Obama's leadership, we saw a huge advancement in LGBTQ rights, which was undoubtedly a positive thing to many people, right? You don't want American citizens being out there being targeted because of whatever it is they decide to do in the bedroom. But the bottom line is, let's be honest, when it came to Black people, the very community that came out in droves to support this man, where were the advances? Where were the policies? Where was the policies that addressed mass incarceration, the war on drugs, or the economic disenfranchisement? Obama was quick to champion LGBTQ plus rights, but when it came to addressing systematic racism that affected Black Americans, we got nice speeches and empty promises. The power structure was happy to push forward policies that benefited some minority groups, some disenfranchised groups, but it purposely left the Black community in the dust. Again, he was used to maintain the status quo. Now, the moment Obama was elected, we started hearing about this post-racial America. Somebody type post-racial in the chat room. Somebody type post-racial in the chat room. And my people up there talking about Flint, Michigan. Somebody type Flint, Michigan in the chat room. That's another one. Okay, but let's start with this post-racial America. White people were quick to point to Obama's presidency as proof that racism was over. Racism is gone. We can get rid of that. We tired of this white guilt. It was over, right? And they posed the question, how can America be racist if we elected a Black president? They asked. And this narrative was pushed hard by the media, and Obama didn't do much to challenge it. He became the face of a myth, a lie that allowed white power structure to ignore the real issues still plaguing the Black community. White supremacy didn't disappear. It just became covert. And Obama was used to sell the lie that progress had been made. Now, what about this whole situation with this global military expansion under this man? I'm telling you, it was status quo. He was used as a tool of white supremacy, and nothing says white supremacy and worldwide domination like the global military expansion. Okay, let's talk about his foreign policy. Obama expanded the use of drone warfare, and despite what he said, he continued the military's intervention across the globe, disproportionately affecting Black and brown people in countries like Yemen, Somalia, and Libya. Remember, he and Hillary Clinton got together and killed Muammar Gaddafi. And Gaddafi, whatever you think about him, he was trying to unite Africa. You see, and so just think about that. All right. His administration, when I say his administration, I'm talking about Barack Obama's administration. It oversaw the bombing of multiple nations, killing thousands of innocent men, many of them Black and brown. And back home, his warmongering was largely ignored by the media and the Black community because, well, he was in charge and they had already given him the Nobel Peace Prize, right? And again, the white power structure used him to make imperialism look cool, right? Somebody type cool in the chat room. He made it look acceptable because, of course, the Black man is cool, right? So we'll do all our dirt behind the face of this Black dude, okay? Because after all, how can you accuse the Black president of being racist especially considering his African roots. Again, in the end, Obama was used as a tool of white supremacy. He gave the appearance of progress while maintaining the very systems that have oppressed black people for centuries. And we elevated to pacify black America, to convince us that the change was happening, while the reality was the same old power structure was still in place, untouched and unchallenged. And here's the hardest part. Once the white power structure no longer needs you, it discards you. As Dr. John Henrik Clarke said, and white supremacy always breaks its tools. Obama's influence has already began to wane. And the system that once propped him up will soon move on to the next figure that they can manipulate. So I'm going to ask you again, what did he really gain? What did we really gain? We need to open our eyes to these tactics. And because of this, the only way forward is through unity, real understanding and real action, not through figures who are being used to maintain the system. So I'm warning you all, don't fall for the face they put in front of you. Look at the system behind you. That's what they're trying to do to Barack Obama. That's what they're trying to do to do us with Kamala Harris. Now, here's the thing. As I said before, you can't fool us like that. We see it for what it is. And brothers and sisters have finally caught up with the fact that this man is a straight sellout. And black people have responded to Barack Obama. Again, we stand at a critical juncture where many in the black community are speaking up about Barack Obama's legacy, a legacy that, despite the hope it once brought, now feels more like a symbol of disappointment. Black Americans are making their voices heard, and what they're saying loud and clear is this: we are no longer content to be taken for granted, no longer willing to be manipulated by empty rhetoric or symbolic gestures. Obama, once hailed as a leader of change, is now being harshly criticized for his disconnect from black men, his failure to deliver, and his attempts to push Kamala Harris, whose policies don't align with our interests. Now, I have put together a collage. Somebody type collage, all my good spellers out there. I have put together a collage of black people rebuking Barack Obama. It is very entertaining to hear what our people have to say, okay? You're going to find this entertaining. There's some harsh language in here, but this is long, but I want you to, it's long, but it's strong. Praise God. Praise God. I know as many a lady that heard that from a man, and it's long and it's strong. It's powerful. I want you guys to sit back, because these are not Russian bots. These are your people who are responding to Barack Obama's disrespectful statement that he made at Kamala Harris's campaign headquarters in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania last week. Okay? I want you guys to sit back, absorb this. It's going to be some laughs. Y'all hit the #1 button. Feel free to comment, laugh. This is what your people's saying. But I want you to keep in mind that in the context of this conversation, I am demonstrating that the once renowned and loved and appreciated Barack Hussein Obama has lost his influence over black people. If you don't believe me, I'm gonna show you for yourself. Here you go. Y'all make sure y'all hit that #1 button. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, baby. Give it. Let's go.
Number one, Kamala did not grow up like me. She grew up in upper middle class. Really, that don't matter. I'm voting on policies, and her policy sucks. So Obama, keep your mouth shut, okay? You're the gatekeeper. You kept the gate on a lot of black people being ignorant. Quite a few of them have awakened to the lies of the Democrat Party. So Barack Hussein Obama, kiss our, we voting for Trump.
Apparently, the former president, Barack Hussein Obama, just called me out. I don't know about y'all, but that little soliloquy of yours, Barry, sounded awfully familiar.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Now, as one of those brothers who won't be supporting Kamala, the reasoning for this is actually quite simple. Yeah, we're done. We're done with the lying, the constant gaslighting, the identity politics. Yo, vote for me because I'm a black Democrat. Yeah, no. And a lot of black men specifically are finally waking up to this and fleeing that Democrat plantation. And you, Barry, are terrified.
Then Obama come his ass up there like he understand the motherfucking struggle. At first, you wasn't even running as a black man for president, I don't think. I don't want to be wrong, but I'm saying, you know, goddamn, Obama, what the fuck, man? I'm not understanding this shit, man. That's all I'm saying, man. He don't understand our struggle. How the hell, oh, you from the hood? You from my community? What the fuck you done for Chicago? You know, Martha Vineyard. What have you done for Hawaii, man? So you think you finna do anything for us or make us believe that Miss Harris gonna do anything for us? You ain't doing motherfucking thing, man. Man, leave us alone, man. Let us do us for the first time, man. We have a voice now, man. That's it, man. We know how to speak. He's not our voice. He's not the voice of the black people. The black man is the black race. Who the fuck is Obama? That's all I'm trying to figure out, man. You don't understand my motherfucking struggle?
I really genuinely need somebody to explain to me why Barack Obama thinks it's a great idea to go out here and have black men vote for Kamala Harris and galvanize the black male vote when this lady gonna do the same thing for us that he did, which is not a motherfucking thing. Like, let's be clear, Barack Obama talking about, this is now the time for you black men to go out and vote for Kamala Harris. She needs your support. All right, we are obligated to do this because I'm going to pull out the race card out of my ass. The same as I pulled out the race card when I told you we were going to bring change to America. Yes, we can. Yes, we can what? Yes, we got to reverse 8 years of bad George Bush policy. The Democratic Party has convinced black people that Donald Trump is somehow already in office. This is how they work. They literally play the psychological mind game to say, if Donald Trump this, if Donald Trump that. Barack Obama, what did you do for the black people? What did you do for black people when you got in office, Barack? We gave you you were awarded a Nobel Peace Prize simply for being able to say you stood on the shoulders of Dr. King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, all the people that came before you. Did you live up to it? Did you do anything that was deserving of a Nobel Peace Prize before you got in office? No. Did you do anything that was deserving of a Nobel Peace Prize while you were in office? No. Did you do anything of substance for black people? No. But we treated you like Moses when in actuality you were just Pharaoh. And I'm not saying you were Pharaoh like you were oppressive in Egypt, like Pharaoh was to the Israelites in Egypt, but you were Pharaoh in terms of you held a political office, and we elevated you to the status of Martin when you didn't even do half the work he nor Malcolm did.
Hey, Barack Obama, as a black man, this must be sad, man. You, Kamala Harris, and the Democratic Party. We vote for Trump, bruh.
All the Democrats said that all black men should vote for Harris. Meanwhile, she's married to a white man, but it's a problem when black men want to vote for a white man, but she married one.
So Barack Obama was in Pittsburgh and he had a few words to say about black men. Black men aren't excited to vote for Kamala Harris. We aren't excited to vote for her. Why do you think that, Barack? Is it because that she is drop step with one of the worst presidents we've ever had? Is it that she was the border czar and didn't do anything about the migrants coming over? Is it because she has to read from a teleprompter every time she does a rally or does something like that? Is it because black men are just saying, you know what, maybe I want to vote a different way? Why is it that every time we have an issue, you gotta attack us, Barack? You don't do the white man like that. You don't do Asians like that. You don't do Hispanics like that. But when it comes to the black man, if we don't vote one way, then y'all want to attack us.
And the fact that didn't nobody even think about this lady in 2020 when she ran, it's just mind-boggling. Then y'all got signs up in the back, all them signs that say black voters. That was very offensive. That was very racist. And I'm gonna say that was very racist. If it was Donald Trump and he had signs up that said black voters, literally, CNN would be spinning that all day, calling him a racist. The stuff y'all try to pull over people's heads, man, is ridiculous.
Barack Obama gets called out after demanding brothers vote for Kamala Harris. So you had Barack Obama demanding brothers vote for Kamala Harris. Barack Obama ain't demand anybody else to vote for her. He ain't called nobody else out, just the brothers, right? Because brothers ain't allowed to vote for who they want to vote. Vote for their interests. Vote for what they believe will be best for them and their families. You know what I'm saying? They got to vote for Kamala because Obama said so. This is what I got from all that, man. So you had a lot of brothers calling out Obama. You know what I'm saying? Brothers like, boy, I know you ain't talking Obama like Obama. You was the swaggiest president. You talk a good game. I give you that. You know what I'm saying? I give you that. But we don't want to hear all that, man. Brothers gonna do what brothers do, man. Everybody has the right to vote for who they want to vote for, not who Barack Obama tells them to vote for.
For President Obama, first and foremost, you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. Number one, I ain't going to vote for Kamala Harris. I think that she's going to make a bad president. She's a bad vice president. Everything she does, she tries to politicize it, and she hasn't shown the fact that she wants to put America first ever. So I'm not voting for that individual. Secondly, I think that it's really sad that you would come out against black men and actually degrade them because they're not picking the person that you want them to vote for. All right. And the last thing that I'm going to say is the moment that I became a Republican and a conservative, that is when I got the most hate from the opposite party. All right. Being that I'm a conservative, being that I'm a Republican, I've always been accepted. For the little bit of time that I may have been liberal, I never heard anything from the Republicans. They never came out and called me slanderous things. They never came out and called me racist things. The only time that I ever started hearing things about my skin color and about, racism or whatever was when I became a Republican. And that was from Democrats that were saying that. So no, I'm not going to be voting for who you want me to vote for. I'm going to do what I want as a man, and I'm going to be the man that I am. So you don't get to say anything.
Obama said what? I know they ain't brought Obama to try to think he gonna get some straightening somewhere. I just know they ain't did that. And then he gonna have the nerve to say, y'all better be glad Michelle ain't here. What he gonna do? What is Michelle gonna do? You calling out black men specifically for not voting for Kamala because she's black. But what did you do for the black men while you were there? What did you do for us? I'm trying to figure it out right now. You want to call us out of all the races. You want to call us out. You want to say that we supposed to just be supporting her because she's black. Okay, what did you do for us? I seen you do a lot for the LGBTQ plus. I think I said that right. I don't want to offend nobody. You did a lot for them. You did a lot for the police too. You the one started back the blue. But y'all want to say Trump trying to get a police immunity. But you done brought your Newport smoking on here and want to say something and try to call us out. Call us out. I bet the people in Flint, Michigan still got a lot to say about you because last time I heard they still ain't got safe water. But you talking about us. Man, if you don't sit your down somewhere, I don't care if they... Wait, hold up. My bad, y'all. I was looking for a give because I done ran all out.
Capacity of you to say to us that we are required and we better vote for Kamala Harris and that we don't want to see a woman in a position of power. You're a liar. I remember in June of 2010, I was in Baghdad, Iraq, and I watched your State of the Union address as a proud young black man to see a black president on the television. But I listened to you as you told the American people that we would not spend any additional resources in Baghdad or in Afghanistan, and we're going to bring our troops home in December of 2014. Right then and there, I knew you couldn't be trusted. Why? Because I'm watching them build sidewalks, build streets, and construct buildings in Baghdad, Iraq in 2010, as you say we're going to leave in 2014. So now that you get on a stage or a platform and try to bully us and belittle us and try to make the world believe that we're not intelligent enough to see what you and the demonic Democratic Party is doing, you're the biggest problem to black people, not the Republican Party. Just because our policies differ or our views differ or our perspectives and values differ, Now you want to attack? No, Barack, you're a liar, and you're part of the problem.
Obama. Who the hell are you, man? Who the hell are you? Talking to brothers like you somebody's daddy. Like we can't think for ourselves. And I need to put the word out about you brothers who were standing there with him as he, talks down on men, black men in particular. Y'all should have left. I don't even know why y'all stood there and listened to that foolishness. No. And let me say this too, Mr. Obama. I bet you wouldn't go and talk to black men in mega spaces like that. I tell you that. You know where to go. You sitting over there addressing black men in a safe space. You wouldn't dare come over to black men in mega spaces talking that crap. I guarantee you that. You ain't nobody's daddy, man. Acting like black men can't think for themselves, and when we do, we somehow don't like women. Man, if you don't get your sissy up out of here, yo, like the White House and gay color.
We don't like her record as San Francisco district attorney. We don't like her and how she targeted black people. We don't like the fact that she got on television and specifically said in an interview, how can you expect me to do something for black people? I'm not going to do something for black people. We already know who we're dealing with. We've made a determination that we don't like her for certain reasons. And you say that she has articulable policies. What policies has she articulated? More importantly, what policies has she articulated that are going to benefit black men? There's a lot of reasons other than her ethnicity and her sex that we wouldn't vote for her. Most black men voted for Hillary Clinton. She still lost. So that clearly, in the same group of men who voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016 are still here in 2024. We just don't want to vote for her because of her policies.
You just know President Obama's just sitting somewhere like, what did I say? What happened? He's so used to, coming and going as he pleases, saying whatever he wants to say, not being held accountable for what he didn't do in office. Honey, the oil that he once had, it has run dry. We already had someone in office who was like us. We already had someone in office who had to work harder, who had our story. And what did we get? A part of what Kamala's getting is because of him. And we don't want a 2.0. The Democrats are so used to us voting for someone who's less racist, but still incompetent, that when we, discuss some real world issues, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And if it wasn't for his own VP and his piss poor leadership, Kamala wouldn't be having such a hard time right now.
So I just got this one question for Barack Obama. When you gonna talk to the white man? When you gonna talk to the Hispanic man and the Asian man and then all the other race of men out here in America that are voting? When are you gonna talk to them about who they need to vote for? I really can't stand this. I really don't understand why black people of certain caliber or status who think they're quote unquote better than us regular black folks, these type of black folks, the celebrities included, why do they feel like they can talk to the black people the way they want to talk to black people? Like, we supposed to just fall in line. Are we they Negroes now? Are we their Negroes? Because I'm confusion. I just really can't understand this. Like, if you can't see the pandering, you're blind.
What the hell's the matter with you, Obama? Getting up there and addressing all your brothers only, telling them that Kamala Harris grew up like them, in the same cities as them, went to the same schools as them. What are you doing? Whatever happened to inclusion?
You're separating the hell out of everybody. You don't want racism, sir? What the hell are you doing? You're talking to a specific race only when you get up on stage trying to get votes. And then you're going to say that racism has no place in here. I believe that racism doesn't have any place, but I believe that what you just did was preach separation. You know, I know, everyone knows there's no room for racism here. There never will be. But the way that you're going about this is literally preaching separation. Cutting a line down the middle. I'm only talking to this group of people or this group of people. It should be you're talking to all of us at once. Get your head out of your ass. Be better, please.
Hey, black man, you voting for Kamala Harris? Because you know Obama told you to. Let's talk about it. So yesterday, Barack Obama decided it was a good idea to come out of his house, save Kamala Harris's sinking ship in Pittsburgh, and talk shit about Trump for a few minutes, and then gather a bunch of black men behind signage that says black male voters and basically tell them, you better vote for Kamala Harris. The numbers are not looking good, and especially amongst the brothers. You guys supported me when I was running, and I expect you to support her. I expect you to vote for Kamala Harris. It's the audacity for me. First of all, you can't tell any black man what to do ever. That's first of all. Second of all, when is he massa? When is he gonna think that he could go in front of a bunch of black men and tell them what to do? Like, is that what we're doing right now? Like, who made him in charge of what black men do or don't do? So the small percentage of black men who were either going to vote for Kamala Harris or were leaning and undecided but leaning towards her, they're absolutely not going to vote for Kamala Harris. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to vote for Trump, but they're for sure not voting for her. So whatever their little plan was to like play in the emotions of black people or make black men feel like they can't make their own damn decisions, that backfired. It's all over the internet. Barack Obama, that was a bad move. It was a bad move. You did nothing for black men back in the day. So how do you get to come out being like a billionaire telling black men who are working?
Barack. As a native of Chicago that watched your policies not do a single thing for black people, not anything for crime, not anything for a better way of living, it is insulting that you decided to get up here and pander us as black men for not voting for Kamala Harris. You are only voting for Kamala yourself because you have no choice. We both know that deep down inside, you wanted the open convention, but the optics didn't look good. We also both know that there were way better candidates that you guys could have went with for president, but you guys didn't. And so now they bring you out, the big guns, because they need you to come up here and clean up this mess. Because you know what? You are a well-spoken man. Because I can tell you right now that your nominee is not. I can tell you that your nominee doesn't answer questions. Your nominee stutters all the time, and she spits out word salads. And you expect for us to vote for her. I'm black. I'm not stupid. I vote for policies. I vote for what's going to allow for my way of living to change. I vote so that everyone can have a chance and continue to be a free thinker and not have censorship. And then you got up here on this stage and insulted every black man in America. And it's not okay. And so now you guys are sitting here and you want us to vote for this administration, who has caused the highest inflation, grocery prices suck, and they don't let everybody in the border. And if I remember, Barack Obama, you were the deporter in chief. You deported over 3 million people. And for your nominee to not even be smart enough that when someone asks her a question, what would she do differently than what Joe Biden did, and her to say nothing is even more wild. So before you decide to get up here and attack every single black man on this planet, I want you to take a self-reflection and think about the behaviors that you're doing and that you're trying to put on us because we don't want to vote for Kamala. I want you to really look down deep inside of yourself and say, would you really vote for her if you wasn't a part of the Democratic Party? If it wasn't your job, would you really vote for her? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't. Because the scrutiny that you went through to become president, she hasn't even went through. No one voted for her. at all. You guys inserted her. And so now here you come, being the sweeper in chief to try to clean up the mess. But I got a surprise for you, Barack. We are going to continue to be free thinkers. We're going to continue to fight people who want to censor us. We're going to continue to be the people that we need to be, because we are starting to arise, because I don't like the word woke. We are starting to arise to the occasion so that we can create a better America where Democrats and conservatives and independents can live freely and prosperous. And you're right, we do need to turn the page, because the book that I'm reading right now, if I turn the page based on what Kamala said about her own self, I would be signing up to read the book a little bit longer for 4 more years. And that's not what I want to do.
The whole world falling apart and you got your Madam VP cranking one up on live television for y'all to see. How nice. And then you got Obama going around the mulberry bush, coming out the woodworks like Christmas past, talking about some, I'm not getting enough energy from the brothers. What? You get more than enough energy from the brothers, might I add. But needless to say, you need to be focused on what retirement home you want to go to, and stop focusing on people that's not worried about what you got going on. You didn't serve your 8 years. Your services is no longer needed, sir. Go worry about your husband, I mean your wife, and stop trying to promote this lifestyle that most of us don't even want to be a part of. Leave folks alone. The whole world falling apart. I don't hear y'all saying nothing about that. All y'all care about is votes and having power over innocent people that don't even know what's good for them no more. So my best suggestion to this organization, administration, whatever y'all got going on, you need to focus on yourself. Focus on that, because we got somebody else in mind that's going to focus on the American people. This is a business, and we all in this together. And since y'all seem to forgot about that, y'all could just get out the way so we can do bigger and better things. Okay? Have a good day.
All right, this message is to former President Barack Obama. The congregation of black men does not need your advice or your guidance on who to vote for, especially when you showed your true character and your true colors when you were the president. When you were the president, last time I recall, you had the House, you had the Senate, and you had the executive branch for 2 years. You could have passed anything, any legislation that would have helped black men in the black community. But I wonder, what did you choose to make your main focal point? The LGBT community. And that's cool and all. That can be your prerogative. But don't try to bring your dusty ass back over here to black men and think that you can tell us who to vote for. No, we're not voting for Kamala Harris. We don't give a damn about all of these scare tactics that you use against black women. Oh my God, they're going to take away abortion. They're going to take away our food stamps, welfare, government assistance. They're going to take away all of our handouts. They're not going to forgive our student loans. Well, guess what? Black men, we don't give a damn. Our community is destroyed. Our women are raising the kids, and our kids are destroying and tearing up the goddamn street. The same people that you made your main focal point are endangering the minds of our women. They are endangering the minds of our kids. And let's get another thing straight. You're an East African, half Kenyan man who wasn't raised with the same values as your dad because he wasn't there. Most of us in America, we are West African by ancestry. Igbo, Yoruba, Angola, Congolese, Ghanaian, Ashanti. That's what we are. So no, I don't know what your values are, but I know what most black men's values are, and they're not the same values that the Democratic Party holds. So I'm gonna tell you like this, I could give a damn about the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, but I'm gonna go vote for Trump. You wanna know why? Just to let black women know who run this shit.
Motherfucker played in our face for 8 years, then y'all came on a year after he was out of the presidency. The dude asked him, why you didn't do nothing for black people? The motherfucker said, I can't do nothing for just a certain group of people. But you did do something for a certain group of people, sir. The LGBT community is a certain group of people that you did shit for. The immigrants is a certain group of people you created shit for. All you did for black people was take, and give to other fucking groups of people. And then to sit there and play in our face and say, you couldn't do nothing for a certain group of people, and you say you a black man? Hey, man, I don't care what. Man, listen, man. Listen, man. My loyalty will always first and foremost be to my black, to my motherfucking culture. Because that's what I come from. And just the same for a Caucasian man. First and foremost, his loyalty should be for his culture. Asian man, his culture. And go on so on. You as a black man to sit there and say that shit? Where's your loyalty, man? Malcolm X turned over in his grave when you got up there and took that presidential nomination, and you didn't do shit for us, bro. You didn't even represent reparations. You didn't even speak on it, homeboy. You didn't even speak on reparations, Obama. How dare you? How dare you? When my ancestors went through slavery, my ancestors, my mama, my daddy, my mama picked cotton, homeboy. My mama picked cotton. And you ain't even talk about reparations. You ain't even bring it up. And you say you couldn't do nothing for a group of people. How about the people that was enslaved? How about the ancestors? How about our bloodline? We were enslaved 100 years ago, not less than 100 years ago, man. That shit wasn't a long time ago. We were picking cotton, being called less than a human, and you say you couldn't do nothing for us? You ought to be ashamed of yourself as a black man. I despise everything you are and everything you will be. You ain't no black man. You ain't nothing to us. And if anybody would vote for anybody that is a friend of yours, that is a counterpart to yours, that is in any unison to Obama, you ain't a friend of mine. You an enemy. My ancestors bled. My ancestors were nuts were cut off. My ancestors were torn, all in the name, and you ain't even bring up reparations, man. We ain't walking out. We as black people walk in the door, and you don't think and you know it, and you didn't think to bring it up. Man, you ain't shit.
Sorry to disappoint you, Mr. Obama, but being that the fact that she's a motherfucking woman is not the reason why we are not voting for her, my dear. The reason why we are not voting for her is because, just like your motherfucking ass, we the one that voted your motherfucking ass into this motherfucker. Only for you to go 8 motherfucking years and have done absolutely motherfucking nothing. The only thing that you did was take out what? Saddam Hussein, whoever the fuck that terrorist was. Congratulations, big fucking whip. But what have you done for the black community? Nothing. Let's not forget, baby girl been in office for 4 motherfucking years, and the most that she has done is give us inflation, a war. You have Americans suffering like a son bitch, while she's giving billions upon billions upon billions of dollars to other motherfucking countries. Then she's giving little chump change to motherfucking Americans. But you expect for us to vote for her because of that. Let's not forget, she also incarcerated a whole bunch of motherfuckers. They sat there and lied about her childhood. That motherfucker did not grow up in no middle class nothing. She grew up in a high class somewhere in fucking Canada. Stop fucking playing with me. So, another thing that she has done. Y'all notice them 6 million? Ooh, my bad. 10 million? Ooh, my bad. 18 million? Ooh, my bad. 20 million? Ooh, my bad. 26 million motherfucking immigrants that crossed into this motherfucker? Let's not forget, she's funding those motherfuckers to a maximum motherfucking point to where these villain swelling gangs are fucking growing. Growing to a point where when they hit Colorado, it done hit so fucking bad to a point where y'all goofy ass fucking mayor done talk about something, oh, it's a figment of their imagination. So if it's a fiction of our imagination, and then the Democratic Party actually went ahead and ran with it, and now we have actual footage of them doing this shit, they gonna turn around and say that it's a figment of our imagination. So if it's a figment of our imagination, why the fuck did it happen in Chicago? And they fucked around and found out. So why the fuck is it happening in Texas right now? And Texas, just like Chicago, pulled a fucked around and found the fuck out, because then they say everything big in Texas. You heard me. So with that being said, Barack Obama, it ain't because of the motherfucking fact that we as black people are not voting for her. We as black people are not voting for her because of those specific reasons. She and your best friend, your best friend, bruh man from the 5th motherfucking floor, but y'all call him Joe motherfucking Biden, has been funding countries, funding these military-aged men that crossed into here, because baby, I don't see not a girl that done crossed into this motherfucker. I ain't seen not a child cross into this motherfucker. All I see is military-aged fucking men, to a grand point where they pour that Venezuelan shit off. So again, that's the reason why we not voting for her. It ain't because of the simple fact that she a woman. Because best believe, if Janet Jackson, you know, the one that y'all tried to fucking cancel because she stated an absolute motherfucking fact. If y'all elected Janet Jackson to run for president and she knew what the fuck she was doing, that's how you get our motherfucking vote. This Democratic Party ain't been doing not a rat's ass about any motherfucking thing other than taking care of other countries, taking care of immigrants, and watching America fucking suffer like a son bitch. Let's not forget, they got thousands upon thousands of dollars monthly, these freaking immigrants. They get that. Whereas Hawaii and the South, whenever a natural disaster motherfucking happened, they only given a $750 one-time payment that they A, have to pay back, B, they don't qualify for. So no, baby, it ain't what's between her legs. That ain't the reason why we not voting for her. And if that's not enough, I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
Good afternoon, friends. I got something to say. I saw where Barack Obama, the greatest con ever pulled upon the United States of America, slithered up on stage last night, and he decided to tell the brothers that we need to get our black asses behind Kamala because we black. And she black, and that's what we do as black people. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, this fool who is confused about his sexuality at best, gonna stand back and tell me, as a full-blooded black man, who I should vote for. And you notice the media photoshopped this Obama out of history. Don't y'all forget Barack Obama's white and Dunham. They have successfully erased her from history, like the bitch never existed. And it's questionable about who his real daddy is. He claims Barack Obama Sr. is his father, but a lot of people think it's Frank Marshall Davis. Google Frank Marshall Davis, Barack Obama, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He don't look nothing like Barack Obama Sr., but he's almost a spitting image of Frank Marshall Davis, who was a communist and a Marxist. And his mother was sleeping with both of them when she conceived. Oh. So Barack Obama, don't tell us who put us on blast as black people for not supporting Kamala Harris. Who the hell made you king of the Negroes? Well, you like sitting on your throne somewhere talking about, I'm Barack Obama, I'm king of the Negroes. That's right, and they'll do exactly what I tell them to do. We ain't doing shit you tell us to do. I'm so sick of him. I wish he would just take his money, take Big Mike, and go somewhere and leave us the hell alone and never come back. Well, I've said my piece. You agree with what I say, appreciate it. If you don't, I appreciate you for listening. Thank you.
All right. Well, those were clearly not Russian bots. Those were clearly not conspiracy theorists. Those were everyday Americans, mostly black men, some black women, and then I think there was even a white fella up in there. Okay. Now, again, as I said, black Americans are speaking out, and the message is clear. We refuse to be taken for granted any longer, and we will not be swayed by empty promises or superficial gestures. Now, once celebrated as a champion of change, somebody type hope and change in the chat room, Obama is now facing harsh criticism for his disconnection from black men and his failure to deliver on meaningful progress and his relentless push for Kamala Harris, whose policies fail to reflect the interests and needs of our community. Now, the topic of this broadcast has been Barack Obama's soon-to-be broken tool of white supremacy. Now, what I want to do is recap generally what those folks were saying. That is 35 minutes of funk. Somebody typed 35 minutes of funk in the chat room. They had all the funk for Barack Obama. Number one, okay, we are rejecting Kamala Harris because of her policies, not because of her sex, not because of her ethnicity, okay? Many black people in the community are rejecting Kamala outright, not because of her gender or ethnicity, as I said, but because her policies do not speak for the realities that black Americans face. Barack Obama is attempting to push her candidacy despite these concerns, and it's led to a backlash. Black men in particular feel alienated, with many expressing that Harris's track record doesn't resonate with their experiences, okay, or needs. And on top of that, Obama's black men have been especially vocal about the fact that Obama is out of touch. Somebody type out of touch with our struggles. During his presidency, he failed to contribute meaningfully to the upliftment of black men, particularly in areas such as police violence, mass incarceration, and economic equality. His recent speeches are seen as pandering, trying to guilt black men into voting for Kamala Harris simply because of our shared so-called racial identity, rather than addressing the real issues that we face. Obama's recent speeches are being called out for pandering into the black community, especially, but to black men. And he seems to be relying on racial identity politics to win support for Kamala Harris. But many find this insulting, especially considering that Kamala Harris is married to a white man. And she wants black men to show her racial loyalty when she hasn't shown black men racial loyalty. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the other thing is people are tired of being asked to vote for someone solely because of their race or gender without concrete policies. And that'll at least actually help to improve our lives. And one of the most significant criticisms is Obama in his failure to address reparations. Somebody type reparations in the chat room. Somebody type reparations in the chat room. Matter of fact, all my subscribers, since we are subscribers only at this point, type reparations in the chat room. Okay, subscribers, type reparations in the chat room. That means you need to subscribe to the channel. And he hadn't even dealt with that at all, refused to touch it. During his presidency, many black voters expected him to lead the charge on the issue, but he never materialized. Now, with the push for Kamala Harris, some feel like he once again is neglecting the real issues that black Americans care about while expecting our support on some racial stuff. But he ain't been very racially loyal. The other thing is, time and time again, black Americans gave our votes and our trust to Barack Obama and the people he endorsed, believing that he would deliver meaningful change. But after 8 years of his presidency, 4 years of Joe Biden, many people have just taken that, that we feel like they're taking our vote for granted, and they've delivered little in return. And his attempt to sway support for Harris, it's just seen as another manipulative move, expecting loyalty from a community that feels increasingly delusional. Under Obama's leadership, many black Americans felt that his focus shifted to the needs of other minority communities, the LGBT community, and the immigrants, while the specific needs for black Americans went largely unaddressed. And this feeling of being sidelined has created frustration, resentment, with many questioning why the Black community was not prioritized despite overwhelming support for Obama. Now, Kamala Harris's upbringing and career, this is another topic that the folks talked about, right? They don't reflect our experiences. They don't. We're Americans. She was raised in Canada, and many have had a hard time seeing her as someone who represents our interests. Harris's record as a prosecutor, especially, is seen as being at odds with the needs of the community, and that has long suffered from over policing and mass incarceration. Some have gone so far as to say Barack Obama has become a tool of white supremacy, which is what I'm saying. A figure used, and I explain this in detail, he's used to try to control the people, and we calling him on that. He just is here to maintain the status quo. Other folks, you saw them question, this is all coming up, okay? And the bottom line is we don't see him as anybody that we're going to listen to anymore. He has lost his authority. He had lost his control. We question his Obama's authenticity as a Black leader. Number one, he's mixed race. Number two, he's not anywhere near foundational Black American. His upbringing has distanced him from the foundational Black American experience, which is rooted in the struggle against slavery, systematic oppression. So Obama's approach to Black issues has always felt disconnected and has only become more apparent as time has gone on. Here's another thing, and I brought this up earlier. Kamala Harris is married to a white man. And that's another reason why she doesn't resonate with Black voters. While this may seem like a personal issue, it reflects a broader sense that Harris doesn't share or fully understand the Black experience in America, not in the same way that the foundational Black Americans do. How can you be fighting racism, white supremacy, and you sleeping with the white man? Explain that. We find that hard to understand, okay? Obama has a legacy of inaction. And this is probably the most damning critique of Obama by Black folks. He did not significantly improve the lives of Black Americans during his presidency. And from economic struggles to systematic racism, many of us feel that Obama's 8 years in office amounted to little more than speeches and symbolic victories with no real change in the conditions of Black Americans. So some of the commentators accuse Obama of deepening divisions within the Black community. His focus on identity rather than substantive policy has changed and changes. It's alienated many Black voters, especially Black men who feel that though he's trying to divide us rather than unite us under the common cause, okay? The other thing is we are outright rejecting identity politics, okay? More and more Black Americans are rejecting the idea that we should just vote for somebody based on race alone. We want policies. We want action. We want real change, not just someone who looks like us, even though she might not even be us. She looks like us and pretends like she talks like us. Somebody type, clean your greens in the tub. Somebody type, clean your greens in the tub, okay? And see, what you have now is Barack Obama relying on identity politics, and that's no longer enough to sway the voters who have become much more discerning. We are much more sophisticated than that. Now, the other thing is, some Black people, we just prefer Donald Trump. Somebody type Trump 2024 in the chat room, right? Or you might like Jill Stein, or you might like what's my man's name, man? Professor golly, I can't. His name will come to mind in a minute. Professor shoot, man, I can't remember. What's the brother's name? It's gonna come to Cornel West. Well, you might want to vote for him. Or you can vote for Kamala Harris, but the bottom line is even if they don't fully align with Trump's policies or one of the other candidates, they appreciate that he addresses issues like immigration and the economy and reparations in ways that seem more transparent than the empty promises that we feel that we've been given from the Democratic Party. Overall, there's a growing sense of dissatisfaction with the Democratic Party, and which is seen as taking the Black vote for granted while failing to deliver tangible benefits. Obama's attempts to push Kamala Harris are just one more example of how the party assumes loyalty from Black voters without doing the work to earn it. Now, Obama's failure to confront other races, he's a big old coward for that, because he quick to run up and criticize Black men, But I never see him keeping that same energy for Latinos. Let him go tell the men of the Latino world that they need to vote for Kamala Harris and that they're sexist. He don't do that. And he certainly won't do that to the white man, will he? He won't do that to them white fellas. He has selective criticism, okay? And that has angered everybody in the black community. You got black women coming out the woodwork saying, don't nobody talk to black men like that except us. You better go sit down somewhere. You see what I'm saying? And you know, we feel like we've been unfairly targeted while other groups are getting the pass. So from the perspective of many black Americans, Obama's presidency is failed to address the critical issues like inflation, crime, and economic challenges facing the black community. And while his speeches, we love them, they were inspiring, right? The lack of concrete results has left many of us feeling disappointed. For many black Americans, there's a deep sense of betrayal. We believed in Obama, we voted for him, and we expected him to deliver on the promise of hope and change. Somebody type hope and change in the chat room, and instead we feel abandoned and misled. Okay, instead of hope and change, we got abandonment and being misled. That's what happened. You understand? And with little to show for that support. The other thing is, and this is the kick in the butt, Obama is criticized because the man is an elite. Somebody type Martha's Vineyard in the chat room. I've been to Martha's Vineyard. It don't look like a vineyard to me, and it's really not a nice beach. But for whatever snooty elite black people like to go up there and hang out, okay? But the bottom line is him and those three mansions are very disconnected from the people who are driving in the Uber right now trying to make enough money to pay for groceries, okay? All right, these everyday struggles of the working class black Americans, his speeches and actions suggest that he is more interested in protecting his legacy than addressing the real issues facing his community, because he knows if Donald Trump gets in office, he's going to wipe the rest of whatever Barack Obama's legacy out. All right. And at the end of the day, that's not our problem. We're here to deal with real issues. In the end, black Americans are making it clear they no longer will be pressured into voting for candidates like Kamala Harris just because Barack Obama said so. And those days of blindly following these symbolic leaders are over. Somebody type "it's over" in the chat room. Black voters will vote for who aligns with their interests, not for who expects loyalty without action. Now, here's the thing. We were warned. We were warned about Barack Obama, weren't we? They warned us about it. Who is they? Somebody type "who is they" in the chat room. Now, but before we talk about that, I'm an hour and 17 minutes into this thing. I'm gonna need some more super chats. I got 8, and that ain't straight. I need 20, and that'll be plenty. So y'all go ahead and pay Uncle D, and yeah, let's go ahead and keep this thing going. I got 8 super chats. I need 12 more super chats. Y'all go ahead and make it happen. Back to what I was saying. We were warned. Who warned us? Who warned us about Barack Obama? Huh? Shout out to Marcus, brother Marcus, SYSBM, true that dude. Thank you. Hit the super chats. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Who warned us? Somebody type "we were warned" in the chat room. In 2008, during Barack Obama's presidential campaign, Messy Jesse Jackson was caught on a hot mic. Somebody type "hot mic," making a controversial remark about Obama. Okay. Jackson expressed frustration with Obama's approach to black issues, saying that Obama was talking down to black people, and Jackson was overheard saying he wanted to cut his nuts off. God damn. That's what he said. You remember that? It was crude. It was a crude way of expressing his belief that Obama wasn't adequately addressing the concerns of the black community. And Jesse was upset that Obama in his speeches was focusing more on issues like personal responsibility and lecturing black men, rather than addressing systematic problems like poverty, unemployment, institutional racism. Jackson believed that Obama was appealing to too much to white voters and not doing enough to speak directly to the struggles of black Americans. Jackson, he apologized for his comment, right? Even though he meant it when he said, I don't know why people apologize after they mean what they said, but the sentiment behind them reflected a broader frustration among some black leaders who felt that Obama was distancing himself from the more urgent and specific needs of black people in an attempt to win broader political support. Okay? And Jackson's remarks highlight his belief that Obama wasn't being tough enough on systematic issues affecting black Americans, and that he was prioritizing mainstream appeal over the real and substantive change for the community. In other words, Jesse knew he was lined up to sell out. Okay? And so Jesse Jackson's critique was sharp, and while many dismissed it at the time as too harsh or out of line, history has now shown that he was right in many respects. Jackson understood something about Obama that many of us failed to see at the time. Obama was not fully committed to addressing the deep-rooted issues that plagued the black community. Instead, Obama was positioning himself as a figure who could please both black Americans and the white establishment, often at the expense of truly confronting the real struggles that black America faced. Now, here's the thing. When we look at Barack Obama's presidency, when we look at his presidency, Obama avoided pushing the policies that specifically that helped black Americans. He didn't address the wealth gap. He didn't address mass incarceration or the devastating effects on the war on drugs with any sort of urgency, you see? Instead, he often spoke about broad, racially neutral terms, focused on all Americans, rather than tackling the unique and specific challenges that black communities face. Somebody type, lift all boats. Somebody type, all boats will rise. Is that what he's saying? Jesse Jackson saw it coming. And he understood without any strong leadership and targeted policies, the status quo systematic racism would continue to thrive, even under the leadership of a black president. See, Jackson, like many other leaders, understood, or his underlying point was that while Obama represented hope and progress symbolically, his policies lacked the substance needed to truly uplift black Americans. Jackson saw the danger of Obama becoming a symbol without action, and someone who would pacify black voters with speeches and rhetoric and playing basketball and shooting hoops and his beautiful black wife with them beautiful little brown-faced kids, while doing absolutely positively nothing to make actual change of the material conditions that black life in America presented. And that's exactly what happened. And so while Obama's election was historic, it was a historic moment, it didn't result in any kind of structural change that anybody I know could see, okay? The thing is, Jesse's anger, along with other leaders, about Obama not doing enough, being used by the white power structure to maintain the system of oppression, Jackson understood how white supremacy works. It elevates certain black figures to positions of power, but only as long as they don't challenge the system directly. Jackson feared that Obama, with his careful rhetoric and moderate policies, was falling into the trap, becoming a tool of white supremacy to pacify black Americans while leaving the real issues unaddressed. And that's what happened. Now, as we look back, somebody type look back in the chat room. As we look back at Jesse Jackson's harsh rebuke, it seems like an overreaction, but now less so, more of a prophetic warning. See, Obama's presidency, albeit historic, it didn't lead to any significant change or progress or issues for black folks, nor for civil rights, the civil rights that we fought for decades. Instead, we saw police brutality continue. We saw the wealth gap between black and white Americans grow, and black communities continue to remain economically disenfranchised. Obama was celebrated as a leader who could bring change, but for many in the black community, the change never truly came. All right. Now, the other thing is we ignored this well-founded advice from our elder statesmen, didn't we? And we also ignored the advice of other leaders who we should have trusted. You understand what I'm saying? He saw it coming, and so did many others. Y'all remember Tavis Smiley? Y'all just canceled Tavis Smiley. I need 6 more super chats. Y'all canceled Tavis Smiley. Y'all remember what y'all did to Tavis? Tavis was hot, then he was not. You understand me? For you guys who don't know, Tavis Smiley is was another prominent figure And perhaps he was even more vocal than Jesse Jackson in his criticism. Tavis Smiley consistently raised concerns that Obama was not doing enough for Black Americans, and his policies were too broad and generic to address the unique challenges facing the Black community. And while Smiley hosted he hosted a series called The State of the Black Union. Y'all remember that, these forums? Where he would have other leaders discuss the specific needs of Black America. This was as Obama rose to power. Smiley repeatedly pointed out that Obama seemed reluctant to address the issues head on. Okay, and Smiley's concerns were simple but profound. Where was the policy for Black America? While Obama was praised for his oratory charisma, you know, he could spit a good game. He could talk a good game, couldn't he? Right? He's a smooth spitter. He's a spitter. He's spitting it out at you. Okay, but like the rest of us, Smiley felt that his speeches lacked substance. And when it came to tackling systematic racism, police violence, and the wealth gap, and the mass incarceration crisis, like Jackson, Smiley believed Obama was too concerned with appealing to white America to truly fight for the changes needed within the Black community. Now, here's the cold part. Y'all know what y'all told him? And y'all told all of them, y'all say, look, wink, and he know what he's doing. He was a community activist. He helped Black people. Wink and a nod. He'll do something when he gets in office. And then he got in office and nothing happened. And then they said, well, he'll do something in his second term. He just there for one time. You got to let him get warmed up. You say y'all got to let him get warmed up, right? And then he got warmed up, and then y'all said, well, he's trying to get then towards the end of the first term. They said, well, he needs to get to his second term. He can't do nothing right now. If he help y'all, if he help you Black folk, he not gonna be able to get into his second term. Y'all, that's what y'all said. Y'all said, I was like, this man ain't gonna do nothing. After the first 2 years, I realized he wasn't gonna do anything. Like many of y'all. You said many of you folk with common sense, you didn't say anything, but he couldn't because he didn't want to. Not because Trump did what he wanted to do, but Obama didn't want it. He didn't have the political will to do it. Nevertheless, we dismissed Jackson, we dismissed Smiley. We said that they were out of touch. You understand? That we talked bad about them. We canceled them. This is back before we had a term called cancel. But they got canceled. Tavis Smiley ain't been right since then. We ain't heard from Jesse Jackson since back then. You understand? Jesse Jackson was the man that ran for president, first Black man ran for president. And he created a whole stir. And we ain't heard from him since then. Y'all was saying he was jealous. Somebody type jealous in the chat room. Somebody type jealous in the chat room. That's what y'all said. So we dismissed the warnings. You also had warnings from Cornel West. Okay, he was actually one of Obama's most vocal critics, Black intellectual, right? Prominent philosopher, activist. West was early a support. He supported Obama early, but quickly became delusional with him once he got in office. And West criticized Obama for being a Black mascot of Wall Street and for failing to address the structural inequalities that affect Black Americans. West argued that Obama catered too much to the rich and powerful while neglecting the needs of the working class. And of course, West's critiques were in the belief that Obama's presidency was largely symbolic with little material benefit to people who needed it most. And West also condemned Obama's handling of issues, so many other issues. Now, here's another thing. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, do you all know that Barack Obama went and sat and spoke with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan early on in his career when he was running for Congress in Chicago? They actually have a picture together that Farrakhan never released. And for you guys who don't know, Minister Louis Farrakhan is a leader of the Nation of Islam. And he was a very early critic of Obama. While Minister Farrakhan initially praised Obama for his rise to power, he later expressed frustration that Obama's presidency didn't bring about the kind of change many had hoped for. And Farrakhan particularly was critical of Obama's foreign policy, especially his military interventions in the Africa and the Middle East, where he saw a continuation of imperialistic policies and disproportionately harmed people of color. I believe that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Muammar Gaddafi were friends. I believe they knew each other. I believe there was some relationship that they had in there. And then here you have Barack Obama under Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, they bombed this man and caused a turmoil in his country. And now look at it. You see, Farrakhan, like others, believe Obama had been co-opted by the same power structures that oppressed black people for centuries. And he warned that Obama was being used by the white establishment to give the appearance of progress while doing little to address the root causes of black suffering in America. And it was reaping havoc across the world. They bombing brown people, and you got a black man as the face of America. This is what they did. Now, another brother that you all may or may not be familiar with, civil rights leader Julian Bond. He's a former chairman of the NAACP. He was another early skeptic about Obama's approach to race. And though Bond supported Obama during the 2008 campaign, he later expressed concerns that Obama was not doing enough to address the issues of racial inequality and police violence in America. And Bond criticized Obama's attempts to remain above the fray, right? They would call him aloof, right? Especially when it came to race, arguing that Obama had a unique opportunity to address systematic racism, but he was failing to do so, all right? Looking back, many of these warnings that came from Jesse Jackson, Tavis Smiley, Cornel West, Louis Farrakhan, Maya Angelou, and Julian Bond, they've been proven correct. And these leaders saw early on, while Obama's presidency was represented as a symbolic victory, his reluctance to address the structural issues facing Black Americans was deeply problematic. And they warned that Obama, in his efforts to appeal to white voters and the political establishment, was neglecting the very people who needed his leadership the most. And during Obama's 2 terms in office, the racial wealth gap widened and Black homeownership declined. The systematic issues like mass incarceration and police violence remained largely unaddressed. And while Obama inspired many and made symbolic strides, the material conditions for Black Americans didn't see improvements. And so, we didn't get the hope and the change that we thought we was going to get. Now, here's the thing. If you don't know by now you know. Obama is seen as a sellout to a lot of Black people. And more importantly, he no longer carries the weight with Black people that he once did. See, ladies and gentlemen, let's not sugarcoat this. Barack Obama has officially lost his place of influence with Black people. In his recent lecture, where he tried to guilt trip Black men into supporting Kamala Harris, was met with widespread backlash from the very community that once stood behind him. I need 2 more super chats. This reaction tells everything we need to know. Obama is seen as a sellout, and his words no longer carry the weight that they once did. Let's be brutally honest, fam. Obama sold out the Black community, and the people are tired of it. His presidency was filled with symbolic gestures, but very little substance for Black Americans. Yes, he made history as the first Black president, but what did he actually do for Black people? Did he address the economic disparities that continue to plague our communities? Did he tackle police brutality with the urgency it demanded? Did he push for reparations or any real action to address the centuries of injustice that Black people have faced in this country? The answer is no. Instead, what we got was speeches. We got beautiful speeches, inspiring speeches, but speeches don't put food on the table. They don't stop bullets from police guns, and they don't close the racial wealth gap. Obama spoke about hope and change, but for Black Americans, there was still no real change. And the hope he inspired has turned into disillusionment. And this latest attempt to lecture the brothers, somebody type brothers in the chat room, his latest attempt to lecture Black men, to lecture the brothers into voting for Kamala Harris, is just one more of the same empty rhetoric meant to manipulate us into thinking we owe him something. But here's the truth. We don't owe him a damn thing. Obama took our votes, he took our trust, and he gave us nothing in return. Now, when he steps up to try to convince us to fall in line for the Democratic Party, we see right through it. We see a man who's more interested in maintaining his status with the political elite than in standing up for people who put him in office. Let's be clear. Obama does not speak for black people anymore. He may still have the support of some, but for many, he's shown his true colors, and they ain't black. He's more concerned with preserving his legacy and keeping himself in the good graces with the establishment than addressing the real everyday struggle that black Americans, black men have to deal with. And the brothers in particular have seen how he's willing to talk down to us, how he's quick to lecture and criticize us without offering real solutions. And we're done with that. You understand? Black men and black people in general are no longer interested in being the pawns in this political game of the Democrats. We're no longer willing to be guilted into supporting candidates just because they share our skin color or because some former president tells us to do so. Obama's time as trusted voice in the black community is over. He had his chance and he blew it. It's time for us to stop relying on symbolic leaders. And we know it. Okay? We don't need to rely on people who are more concerned with appeasing the white power structure than they are uplifting our own people. Obama is no longer one of us. He's been co-opted. He's been corrupted by their very system we are trying to fight against. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can stop being manipulated by those so-called leaders and start demanding, and we can start demanding real change from people who are actually willing to fight for it. Obama's influence is gone. No, he don't speak for us anymore. Okay? And he sure as hell he doesn't have the right to lecture us on who we should support. He's not our daddy. In fact, we'll decide for ourselves as men and women who's worthy of our votes. And it'll be based on policies and actions, not on guilt, shame, or empty rhetoric. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you now. So what have we established? And I'm going to land this plane in a minute. Y'all keep them super chats coming. I'm going to land this plane in a minute. Somebody type in a minute. Let me speak to you directly. Let's be real about what's happening here. Barack Hussein Obama is walking the same road as countless black men before him. Men who were lifted up by the white supremacist system, used for as long as they were useful, and then tossed aside like yesterday's trash when their value was spent. And don't fool yourselves. Obama is no different. History is full of examples of this. And mark my word, Obama is on the same trajectory. There's enough powerful white people in place who don't like Obama, who are waiting for this moment. And there are also plenty of the so-called white allies who he once had, who will avert their eyes when the moment comes. It's not a question. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when Obama gets his Negro wake-up call. Let me give you some examples, because we've seen this play run before. Somebody type Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby for decades was the image of success and black excellence, if you will. And he was celebrated, he was embraced by white America, and even seen as a beacon of how black people should behave. And he was America's dad, but what happened when the system was done with him, they destroyed him. Every misstep, every wrong move was brought to light and amplified. Now, regardless of what he did or didn't do, the system that built him up was the same one that tore him down. Cosby was useful to them until he wasn't, and then they ruined him. See, when he started going on that tour, talking down to black folk, telling black folk what we should do. Y'all remember that comedian came up and popped out on him? Somebody type popped out. That comedian popped out on him and said, damn, I sure don't want Bill Cosby to serve me a drink. They could already see that black folks, there was a rumbling amongst black folk that didn't like what he was saying. He didn't speak for us. And then, well, you know, you trying to buy NBC, you've lost your sway with black folks. You useless to us. And they came for him. You understand what I'm saying? They came for him. You start selling out and talking reckless and talking down to your people, not with love, not from a place of love, but from a place of disrespect. You start speaking down to us, not recognizing that you still one of us. A person can only rise as high in social status as the lowest one amongst his group. And Bill Cosby let the money and the power and the fame and the validation get away with him. I know you love him, I'm just saying, right? Same thing with Michael Jackson. He was the biggest star on the planet. The world loved him. And the system made him a superstar. But when his influence and his money, when black folks start thinking he was weird and we stopped buying his albums and he stopped having that sway over us, and we love Mike, right? But we didn't love him as much as we love Big Nose 1980s Mike when he was laid out. Y'all remember Mike had that? Remember, we love that Mike. That was our Mike. This new Mike that looked like a white woman, we didn't love him like that. He got weird, you see? And he stopped having influence. And see, when his influence and his money no longer served him, when his, how should I say, he was a bit eccentric, right? And his wealth became an issue, they ripped him apart. By the time he died, he was barely the shadow of the man he once was, couldn't sleep at night. And in the eyes of the same media that once built him up and worshiped him, they tore him down. Think about that. Here's another one, O.J. Simpson. O.J. thought he could escape. Somebody type, run, O.J., run. O.J. thought he could escape the realities of being a black man in America. He got that white woman. He moved to Brentwood. He started talking white, living white, and sleeping white. He was a celebrated athlete. He was wealthy. He was embraced by the mainstream. But when the system, when the brothers like, nah, they took him. The system decided he no longer was useful. They broke him down. The trial broke him down. Even though he was declared not guilty, they haunted and harassed him for years. He ended up going to jail for stealing his own knickknacks and stuff from the sports industry. The constant media attack. It was a system that once loved him, was waiting for him for the moment to remind him that he was still black and that he could never escape this grip. Look, man, Obama's next, man. I see it happen. Keep them super chats coming. Obama is next. Obama's no different. I know he half white. That must be all right. He half white and light, right? He's still no different. This man has been celebrated. He's been celebrated now, or he was, because he served the purpose back in 2006, 7, and 8. He's a shining example of an acceptable Negro. You understand what I'm saying? He's a clean Negro, right? He was an example of how America progressed, right? But the system was only using him to keep black people in check, to make us think we've made it. But when the white supremacist structure no longer needed him, when his influence over us fades completely, which it has, they will break him. Just like they did Cosby, Jackson, Simpson, and all the rest of them. Hear me. It's already in motion. Once his power to sway us is gone, and y'all see that has been eviscerated, okay? They'll start picking apart his legacy. Even decades from now, when the man is long gone, after he's gone, the media will begin to dig into every decision, every move, every flaw, and they'll say, he didn't do enough. He was a puppet. He was concerned with pleasing. They're going to say all kinds. His policies were weak, more symbolic than substantial. They will find a way to villainize this man. See how they done dug Martin Luther King up and tried to villainize him? If they knew Jesus was black, they dig Jesus up and try to villainize him. Matter of fact, as soon as we start putting them black Jesuses on the wall, they stop. Well, Jesus wasn't a big. All kind of folks say, I don't believe in God no more. Isn't that something? I just want y'all to think about that, right? They'll villainize him because that's what they do. The same white supremacist system that built him up will turn around and break him down when they're done. And when he's gone, the revisions begin. Once Obama's gone, the narrative will shift. His so-called white allies will look the other way, act like they weren't part of the rise, and the system will distance himself from him, acting like they were never invested. Historians will start questioning his impact, saying he was all symbolism with no substance. And what little he did for the black community will be minimized, and they'll rewrite his legacy not to honor him, but to use him as a cautionary tale for the next generations of black men who think they can rise that damn high in the system. How dare they? You see? Barack Obama is going to get a wake-up call, and the moment when he realizes that he was never in control, he's not untouchable, that he's not immune, that he's not white, right? The same system that propped him up, the same system that called him Mr. President, will be the same system that tears him down. Why? Because white supremacists, the machine, doesn't care about black men's success unless it serves them. And Obama's choices, his attempts to fit in, to play by their rules, that will be the very reasons they turn on him. He's been their most polished tool for about the past 2 decades, their perfect symbol of black success under a white system. But like all tools, once they're worn out, once they've served their purpose, they get discarded and replaced. Look, my brothers, let me say this to my brothers and my sisters. Don't be fooled by the system's praise of any of these entertainers and athletes, Obama included. We've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends. Obama's been used to keep us in line, to make us think we've made progress. But when his usefulness is over, the same system that built him up will be the same system that breaks him. The question we need to ask ourselves is this: when will we stop letting the system manipulate us by putting a few of us on pedestals while the rest of us are left behind? When will we recognize that Barack Obama is just the latest tool in a long line of black men who've been propped up, used, and then discarded? We can't wait for the system to discard him before we see this truth. The wake-up call is coming. The only question is, will we be ready when it happens? Now, I'm going to take the opportunity to take a little quick break. I'm going to be right back. Y'all hit the #1 button. Y'all show Uncle D some love. Give me some love. Give me my super chats. I'll be right back.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas. My mandate is to be an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. And I want to make sure that the issues confronting black men are defended, protected, enunciated, spoke upon by black men who have a vested interest in the black community. And so my draw to the Black Manosphere or YouTube in general to use my voice, my wisdom, my experience was solely because black men weren't being heard. But they're hearing us now. They're hearing us as to our issues related to modern relationships, politics, education, finance, and so many other things. And I'm extremely proud of these gentlemen. I'm extremely proud of the people who put this together. It is a wonderful event, and I look forward to attending in the years to come. Hey, man, I do what I do.
All right, welcome back. I want to give a big shout to everybody who came through with the super chats. Shout out to my man Justin Brooks. He said, I appreciate the education. The real Billy Ray Valentine, good looking out for the $4.99. Mini FBA, good looking out for that super chat. Cash App Gloria Sabry, thank you so much, fam. Appreciate you too. Winnie 0815 Samuel, good looking out, fam. I appreciate you. All the little sisters up in here getting this good information. So you learning this smoking, this we giving this. This is a lesson to be learned. Shout out to African Stoic, original Pan-African Bishop Turner, white power, trans black leaders to serve their system, not their race. Ain't that the truth? Shout out to WYOPTVS. Thank you. PTV2, good looking out. Torin Jones, good looking out. Who else we got here? YOPTV, man, you got too many syllables for me to say. For my grandparents' medication, no Obama. Ah, that's funny. Good stuff. Thank you so much, fam. Who else we got up in here? We got the African Diastoic. Shout out to Hubert Harrison as well. Also, my man W Yop TV, good looking out, fam. Appreciate you. 1 and 6, Wrench Turner. Thank you, fam. Keeping the repository of information and history going. Yeah, that's what we do on this page. We got to be able to sit back and look at the big picture and look at history. And history doesn't repeat itself, but it has an echo. And when you begin to see the patterns, you'll be able to see these things coming. Y'all just remember I said this. You remember I said that on this day, they're going to begin to tear this man down. And the reason is because you see now his people don't support him. Even though there was bellowings and small talk behind the scenes over the past 10 some odd years, now it's flagrant. It's out there. They can't even bring this man out no more. You see what I'm saying? They like, you might, don't bring him out. Shout out to everybody who's contributed to the super chat. Thank you so much. Corey Jones, it says here, S2 better. Thank you so much. Keep the good work. Blizzard King, Spurling, good looking out, fam. Also, Yop2 TV, hot mics. Yeah, y'all type hot mic in the chat room. Them hot mics tell the truth. Policies over parties. Yes, sir, Barry Little. Trues Dude, thank you so much for the $5. Brother Marcus S.Y.S. Black men are going to have their day and say, yeah, I like that. That boy got bars. Teaching New Orleans, good now, gift to Spurling podcast. Y'all make sure y'all join. Y'all make sure y'all join the membership too. Good looking out for my man Kenneth Williams. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the content. Jamal Smith, thanks, fam. TIQS, yo, y'all better get Unc D likes up. Stop being cheap with the Unc. Yeah, baby, stop being cheap with Uncle D. Anyway, Urban Eagle, good looking out for you. $5. My man Simeon Toko, good looking out, fam. Thank you so much. Also, Big Knox, the uncle be predicting the future. I do, man. I recognize the patterns. Super sticker, thank you so much. DeLon Simpson, all my people up in here. Who else we got? Your Excellence. Man, I ain't seen you in a minute. Like, share, subscribe. Good looking out to Your Excellence, sir. And also Sammy Welbeck. We won't stand for no Obama Reloaded with the chameleon. He just burned all up the goodwill he had with FBA. He sure did. But anyway, I want to give an acknowledgement to all my folks here in the Cash App folks, Mr. Robinson, Mr. McCord, and Mr. Richardson. Good looking out to everybody. The Cash App been rolling across the bottom of the screen. Look, fam, ladies and gentlemen, because we got some ladies up in here. All right. As we conclude this discussion, I want to remind you of one crucial lesson that we talked about earlier from Dr. John Henrik Clarke, a man who spent his life studying the dynamics of white supremacy and its impact on Black people. He taught us that in systems of oppression, Black people are often elevated by the dominant society. It could be anybody else. It could be a Chinese society elevating a person from a different ethnicity. Okay? Whatever the dominant society is, it uses tools to keep the masses in line. That Pocahontas was a tool. You ain't know? Huh? That's what it does. But the moment they are no longer useful, they're discarded, broken, and thrown away. Dr. Clarke was clear about one thing. White supremacy always breaks its tools. And make no mistake, Barack Obama is just the latest in a long line of Black men being used by the system. He's been propped up, given validation, and elevated to the highest office in the land. But it wasn't for us. It was to serve the interests of the dominant society. And once they've gotten what they needed from him, once he no longer has the power to influence Black people, they'll discard him just like they did Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson, O.J. Simpson, and all the others. But the real lesson today is bigger than Obama or any single person. The real lesson, and I want y'all to hear, because this is what I want y'all to take away from this. If you don't hear anything else, understand this. The real lesson, the one that Dr. Clarke made clear is this. In a racial caste system, you must always stay 100% down with your people. That does not mean you have to like every damn thing your hood rat ghetto ass folks are doing. That doesn't mean you got to like all that sexy red behavior. You don't like to have to like all that F-boy behavior. You don't have to like that, but you cannot sell out. You cannot chase money, the fame, and the validation from the dominant society, because as quickly as they give it, they'll take it away. Not in the form of selling out to get it. And when you earn it by selling out, like a P. Diddy, right? When you turn your back and when you betray your big people and when you manipulate and destroy your people and when you undermine the growth of your people, right? That's basically turning your back on your community. The community that gave you strength in the first place. You're gonna be left without nothing. And like so many other, Barack Obama's fate is sealed. No matter who wins the upcoming election, no matter what happens in the political world, I suspect that in the near future, we will see Obama booed by crowds. We will see him confronted by Black men and women as a sign of their disfavor. He will be called out for his actions, for turning his back on the Black community, and for using his platform to serve the interests of others while neglecting the very people who believed in him. He made us feel hope. And now we feel betrayed. And that bothers us. And it still does. See, when that day comes, when he's openly booed and confronted by black men and women about the things he did. Remember what we talked about here today. Remember that the system only elevates those who are willing to play by its rules, and those rules always come at the expense of the black community. The real power, somebody type real power in the chat room. The real strength, somebody type real strength in the chat room. The real power, the real strength comes from standing with your people, uncompromising and loyal. It's about authenticity, about never selling out, about never letting anyone manipulate you into forgetting where you came from. Obama's time is coming, just like it has for so many others who've sold out before him. When the crowds turn against you, it won't be because he failed to follow the system's rules. It'll be because he followed them too well. And he did so at the expense of his people. This is Uncle D. I love y'all. And as I always say at this time,
in the Spurling podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe.